Every real project for real clients comes with real problems, not just making things look pretty or pushing pixels around the screen. In this video, I want to show you the actual challenges of a real-world client project. So in this quick case study, I'm going to walk you through 3 real problems and show you how design, systems thinking, and a little bit of Framer magic pulled everything together for a successful product launch and a happy client. Let me introduce you to JoyPixels. JoyPixels is the real client for this project. They are a high-end emoji library for people who actually give a crap about the way that emoji look and feel across all platforms and operating systems. They're used by millions, but particularly enterprise-level clients like IKEA and Grammarly and Dropbox and Telegram and TikTok. If you want your emoji to look good everywhere, then JoyPixels is the tool for you. But therein lies our very first real problem. Not pixels, not design style, but real problem. And that first real problem is, how do we make an expressive and fun brand, product, and team, because they are, emoji is fun, the team is fun, how do we make that feel professional without losing that fun? And this is very high stakes for this client because they have very high-end clientele, as well as your average agency or firm who wants access to really cool emoji. So they need to market to their demographic while still being expressive and true to who they are. They want it to feel professional without it feeling boring. They want it to feel fun without it feeling childish. And so when they came with this first website, it slightly missed that mark in our opinion. It leaned on the professional side of things. It felt like they were afraid to lean into who they truly were. Pretty professional, maybe a little bit dated looking, but they leaned into the professionalism so much that even when they tried to kind of create fun graphics or moments of fun across the site, it still just felt a little bit short. It leaned too far in one direction. So the challenge was, how do we allow you to be you and market to the people who actually want you and aren't afraid to lean into their own brands? So we immediately took their website and their web application, this library that you can kind of parse through, search, find the emoji that you're looking at. And we took that immediately into Figma and started experimenting and exploring how we could bring all of this together. I'm actually going to go straight over to our archive page here, and you'll see if I zoom out, there is a lot of design work that happened here in our archive, which is a quick note for you designers out there. Not everything you design should make it into the final product. There should be a lot of exploration, and you can see a lot of that exploration here. Lots of different attempts, whether we are exploring different takes for the hero or card styles, different typography, different implementations of things. We started to hone in a little bit on what this website and what the application can look like. When we get into some of those more final designs, you'll see here, we started to kind of strike that balance where one of the biggest things is, on the professionalism side of things, we want the design to kind of move into the background to support the main thing, the star of the show. And in this case, the star of the show is the emoji. So don't over-design things, don't crowd things, but make space for the product, the brand, and really the expressive, fun nature of emoji. So you'll see here in our hero section, we kind of social proofed a little bit while popping out the emoji and the uses that are there. You'll see in the animations later that we actually have some rotating typography, some animation. But then as you head into informational sections, the information can stand on its own. We kind of bound back and forth between fun and expression and then professional and clean. We jump down into the library preview. You can see this animated version of the library. If we jump over to the actual marketing site here, you can see as we scroll down, we get a little bit of motion, some animation here, our scrolling typography in the top. But then as we get down, we get into that informational section. It's very, very classy, clean, modern, does what it needs to do. But then into an animated kind of section, highlighting what the library can look like with the CTA to go find that library. But then back down into professionalism. We have our pricing cards, the ability to kind of toggle on and off. You can see we explored all of this in our design file. Again, find the areas where we could be expressive and fun, and then know when to hold back and have some self-control. Here on our benefits page, you'll see if we jump over on the marketing site, we came up with custom animations for each one of these cards in this hero section, in this ticker, to highlight the individual features. When you scroll down, you get a little bit of information. And while these cards have a little bit of overlapping animation to them, they really, as self-contained design elements, help to kind of highlight the individual features without being overboard. We're talking about how each of the emoji are scalable vector files, how you can get them in font format, how the licensing is a worry-free process, that it's Unicode compliant. We even implemented dark mode, light mode, tappable here on the website to highlight that it is dark mode friendly. And so you can see us trying to balance that professionalism, that cleanliness, while still allowing things to take center stage. You can see if we head over to our library, as we scroll down, just nice clean separators between the two different libraries that they have, custom loading animations, really clean navigation as the user searches through those different emoji, and then really great modal that pops up with lots of information, allowing you to have free downloads, find related emojis, kind of search what those downloads are going to be, whether they'd be PNGs or higher res versions, even copy the emoji directly from the application. So one of the things that undergirds this entire system, how do we make it expressive? Well, obviously all the things we just talked about, but then how do you make it feel professional? One of the most professional things you can do is to make sure that things are consistent. And for us, this starts with a clean design system. So we actually designed a really structured design system for this client. We laid out all the colors, the typography that would be used, even the spacing that's used throughout the project, as well as started to highlight separate components like animations, your button components, footers. All of this design system is implemented in the Framer website, in the custom web app interface they're building, and in any of the follow-up plugins, extensions. It will be using this kind of home base of a design system to bring that professionalism and consistency across all products at scale. To ensure that we have that level of consistency and professionalism, we also created a series of custom variables and design tokens. Their development team is fantastic, and so we needed to coordinate with them, work with them to create a language and a system that they can use. They don't have to worry about what the color of the primary surface is because we have a design token for that. They don't have to worry about what the text is going to be or the input field should be because we have light mode and dark mode design tokens established for them. No questions, just consistency across the board. Now let's talk about the second big problem that we had to address for a project like this. How do we unify the marketing site, which is built in Framer, with the web application that's built in its own custom development environment? And how do we make those two experiences feel like one seamless experience? You can see here where we're on JoyPixels.com. Visitors can come here and read the information, check the benefits, look at the apps, read the blog, check the pricing. But the minute that they press browse emoji, they're redirected to app.joypixels.com. This is the web app side of things. Now, if you're wondering, why didn't we just do all of this in the development environment or do all of it inside of Framer? I'm glad you asked. The reason you don't want to put everything into the custom development environment is because there's a lot of copy updates, image changes, blogging that take place on a marketing site. And I don't want to have to bog down the developer with text changes, image updates, or blogging. That's not what they do best. I would much rather the developer of this project spend his time squashing bugs, QAing, making sure the backend is working correctly, dealing with payment and checkout flows. That's what they need to spend their time on, not text updates. And if you're wondering why we wouldn't do all of this on Framer, and don't get me wrong, I love Framer and you can push the boundaries a whole lot on what you can do with a Framer marketing site. There is an absolute ton of functionality in the web app side of things that we don't want to have to do inside of a tool like Framer. It's not necessarily built to be a web application builder. For instance, here on the web app side of things, I can not only preview emoji, I can bookmark them, I can go dark mode, I can go into my account settings and look at my billing and my team and my licenses and downloads. There's a lot of functionality here that I don't want to have to spend the time working inside of Framer when it's not necessarily built to do that. So how do we create this seamless experience? Well, first, it goes back again to that consistent design system, to those design tokens, to the variables, making sure that a button is a button no matter where you place it, whether it's in website, web app, extension, plugin. We want everything to look the same, feel the same. But as we're building out our marketing site inside of Framer, there's some things that we can do to make that experience even easier. If I open up the Framer build for this project, you can see when I double click into it, I'm using templates or page templates for this project. And those page templates dictate which things are on the page, where's the spot for content that's going to fill in the footer, but also things like padding and margin and typography and settings that you can tick on and off. So therefore, if I make a padding change for the desktop view of the website, all I have to do is make that change once, inform the developer. He can make an app-wide change there, and things are connected and they look seamless. Now, another huge part of this is going to be establishing reusable components. And inside of this project, we have quite a few reusable components. Things that are locked in so they can't be changed. There's no one-off or granular kind of working of elements. Almost everything is either part of a page template or componentized or locked into the CMS, so we have that consistency at scale. This keeps things from getting out of control and one-off touches affecting that professionalism on the Framer side of things, and the developer can follow in suit that level of execution on the web app side of things. Now, what's also great about this is in Framer, I can set up my global styles, things like my text styles or my link styles, my color styles. These are pulled directly from my design system, and they are the same here as they are over on the web app side of things. So establishing styles here makes a really consistent and structured kind of system for you to apply, and the web app side of things can just follow suit as well. Now, one of the other things that's going to make this experience feel a little bit more seamless is Framer's ability to tie in, fetch data from APIs, grab information from other websites, and build custom code components, which we've done on this website with a little bit of help from their development team. You can see here when I'm on the marketing site, I have the ability to go to my account or log out directly. And that's because we've built a custom code component to do so. So when we jump back over to Framer, you can see here down at the bottom, we have a couple of custom code components. One of them is an authentication state code component. You can click that, open it up, and see the code that's running here. Now, the way this is set up is basically just a component that hides and shows this grouping of buttons and replaces it with that user account avatar dropdown based on the logged in state on the web app side of things. Makes this a really seamless flow here, because if the user is going back and forth, they don't get mixed signals, they don't get things that look out of place, they just get that seamless experience. And that's made possible because Framer allows you to not only build quick, easy, fast, amazing, and beautiful marketing websites, but then also customize it to your heart's content through code components, API fetches, and a whole lot more. The third problem that we had to address for this project, and we have to address for every project, is how do you create a website that can scale with the client's needs and the client can manage without the client breaking it? And thankfully, Framer makes this super easy, starting at the very top with their content editing experience. So you can see here we are on the actual.com, and all the client has to do is make sure they're logged in the browser to Framer, which is easy to do, and they just come to their website, click the edit content pencil, and now they can click on anything and edit on their site. For instance, this hero is a very complex component to make sure that the animations work right, that it's responsive, but they can click on that and change any of those special words in that section. They can click on this component and change it. If they have normal, just written text on the page, which we don't do a lot of, we componentize everything, they're able to click on all of those sections and update it. Then when they press finish editing, all those stages are changed. They can write blogs from the browser. They can update content, update images. It's just a fantastic editing experience that just reinforces how awesome Framer is. Now, the next thing that Framer does to make this client management system really, really easy is to try to build your sites in a CMS, and we have done that for this project. So I can turn on the CMS here, and you can see that their blogs are in a blog or a CMS collection. The categories that are related to those blogs are in their own CMS collection, and then they are related to that blog. So if I can go into a blog here, you can see I can click on that, and those categories are pulling directly from that collection. So if we need to add a new category, we can add that here. Same thing when we assign an author to a blog, we have a bunch of preloaded authors here that just get clicked on when they're writing a new blog or editing a blog. The teams page is completely managed by the team that we update here. The clients, that social proof on the homepage. As we scroll down, we can actually preview the site and scroll down. You can see all the people who are using JoyPixels right now, whether they're in tech, they're an agency, they're a brand. All of that is managed by the CMS. So they can simply come in here and add a couple of details like the logo, a little description, maybe the live link to where it's being used. And that's gonna populate those sections because we've set them up with smart components, collections lists, makes it super easy. So when we hand off Framer sites to massive clients like this, we're making sure that we're using the CMS as much as possible, componentizing elements so they don't get messed up, locking everything down in layers, and encouraging our clients to use the browser-based content editing feature that Framer offers. That keeps the experience clean. It's so impossible for them to mess up the site, but they can create new pages and scale this thing up as much as they want. What really matters as a creative professional is not what shade of blue you chose for the button, but instead how you go about solving real-world problems. So thank you for watching this video. If you watched it all the way through, I find it incredibly helpful to hear from other creative professionals how they're solving hard problems for their clients, and I hope you appreciated and found some value in this video of me doing the same. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you know when another one of these case study walkthroughs, real-world projects come out. And if you're having problems in your creative business trying to figure out how to solve it, how to work with clients, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what's going on and maybe I can give you some feedback and maybe we can start a conversation and help each other out. Hope you're having an amazing week. Hope you're designing amazing things, making amazing things. We'll see you in the next one.